Okay, it looks like we're good to go.
Awesome. Look at you. You were persistent.
I know, we make it work where it doesn't work, right? So, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Inspired Online. I'm Shay Ali here with you today with the gorgeous, I have to say, Loren Lahav. Wow. Now, if you've not seen this lady before, she is just an incredible force. We go all the way out to Las Vegas to speak to Loren. Loren is a powerhouse coach, and I know you're probably fed up of hearing that term, but this lady really is special. Back in 2010, people voted her book Life Tuneups one of the top 3 reads of that year. She has worked with thousands of people over the world. She was hand selected by Tony and Sage Robbins to run their retreats in Fiji, and she's a lady that really walks her talk. So if you're looking at tuning up your health, if you're looking at tuning up how to be a perfect mother, relationships, business, all of that yummy stuff, Loren is really the woman to be able to help you with that. And she works with all sorts of people around the world even now. So it's such a joy to have you on the show with us today, Loren. Welcome, welcome. And
I'm just remembering you. I'm remembering you, and all your every day you would come in with a new hairstyle and a new cute outfit, and I just couldn't wait when that week you. I could say, oh, what's she wearing today? What's she going to be? How's she showing up today? I just love your feminine but badass energy in both. So nice to see you.
Nice to
see. I remember thousands of people that I work with. I remember you. You made a huge impact on my life just by your presence when you walk into the room.
Oh my God, the feeling is so mutual. I've always adored you and your work and just the way you show up. So it's honestly just such a thrill that you've come on with me today. And I know you've taken the Inspired stage in London before, but I'd love you to share with our virtual audience that if you had to share that wisdom with the world in a nutshell today, what would you tell us?
Wow, so many things. I don't know. The first one is, my what I talk about all the time is you've got to stay true to yourself. I think it can be, especially now, really easy to compare yourself to maybe you're just starting off in something, and so you're comparing your chapter. We've heard this before. This is information. Your chapter 1 to somebody's chapter 50, and just be a little bit kinder to yourself. That's one tip that I would say to everybody. So, and realize that, some things take time. I think that lots of times we want to rush the process. You think about good old Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn talks about, and I think this is important now, even just today in the world, is that Jim Rohn always talks about the seasons. And, there's first you've got to find some good ground, right? And then you want to plant the seeds. Then you've got to let those seeds take time before they grow. You can't rush the growth of those things. And I think that that's a big challenge for people as they go, show me the results. But you haven't allowed it to kind of, let the seeds grow the way that it needs to grow. I know that I did it for myself many, many times. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, why isn't this happening like right away? And I needed the time. When I had one of my favorite people is Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor for 25 years now. And I just saw him a couple months ago. And before I actually met with him, I called him on the floor. I called him and I was sitting on the floor because I was hanging out with my dog that was sick. And I said, Bob, I owe you an apology. And he said, what are you talking about, Loren? I said, for years, I thought, oh my gosh, whatever. Experience, it doesn't really matter the way that we talk about it. And it does, for me, I believe that it does. It kind of solidifies your certainty and your knowingness about things, and you have more references about those things. And I said, when I was in my 30s, I was so cocky about stuff. I'm like, oh, I got this. I'm all good. And then I didn't realize how important how I've grown so much from my 20s, obviously, but not, I'll be 55 in a couple months. But now
I still can't get over that.
I have no makeup on, no lashes, and look at the whole whatever, the
No,
quarantine here.
absolutely.
But I but I think for me now, I'm so rock solid and unshakable and things that nothing can stop me. You know, I mean, I like you said, like for me, um, I don't know. I mean, I look at, and I also really try to keep things super simple. I think that, you know, complexity is really easy. You know, making things simple is really hard. And I think that I've really focused on trying to make things simple, because I know that that's duplicatable, and that some things are just foundational. And I look at just even now, with, you know, all that's happening in the world, and I mean, for me, a lot has not changed. I don't know about you. I mean, I've always, like I shared with you, I just moved I got kind of, so I think sometimes we get fat in our thinking type of thing. So I'm like, yeah, well, I have a, you know, home, and then I have this house that we rented. And so I'm like, well, I can move all my stuff over to that place and make it my office. And I didn't need all that space. You know what I mean? I did it because I had it. It was great. And I could, you know, people would come to town. I could let them stay there. But I really was still just working in a small space. Mm-hmm. So when or the size of this room, well, and then my kids, I needed to get them out of New York. But I was able to take that house and turn it into, you know, a house for them. And I've just moved my home office back home. And the reason that I bring that up is I think sometimes we get a little fat in our thinking, if you would. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I was going to take you to one of the things you said earlier, actually, which was about growth. And, you know, sometimes it can be frustrating in terms of that weight, or in terms of I'm not seeing the results. So I was wondering if you could speak to that and tell us, what do you do in those times? You know, how do you keep
Yeah. You got to be patient. You know, one of my favorite stories, I don't know if this, when I came and spoke to you, if it had happened yet, but it really is all about consistency. You know, the one thing that I would share with you, you know, there's a friend of mine, I met her, she just turned 90. Her name's Hazel. And I met her in Dubai a couple of years ago. I was asked to go speak in Dubai, and I was going over for a day and a half. And I'm like, what the heck am I doing? You know, flying from Las Vegas to Dubai, and like, what is up? And I was like, oh my gosh, is this just my ego that's wanting to go and speak over in Dubai, or what's going on? But I felt this pull. I really pulled. So I went over and I got up the morning and I went to the gym. And I didn't go to the gym because I wanted to go to the gym. Let's just be clear. I went to the gym because I had jet lag. And at the gym, I saw this beautiful woman, like silver-haired woman, and she was working out. And then I worked out for like 40 minutes maybe, and then I went to breakfast. And at breakfast, I saw this woman again, and I'm like, "What? She just at the gym?" And I was at the gym. Like, she goes, "I go to the gym every day, wow. You know, 1 hour every single day." And she goes, "You want to know my story?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." And so she goes, when I was 52, and I felt my Snoopy ears go up at that point because I was 52. I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to what happened at 52. Yeah. Because I was at church, and I bent down, and I was getting back up. And as I got back up, my knees started to crack. And her son was with her, and he said, "Mom, your knees aren't supposed to crack when you're 52. Mm-hmm. He said, "Look, if all you did was 40 deep knee bends, 40 push-ups, 40 sit-ups, you know, 10 minutes of cardio every day, then by the time you were 80, you could do whatever you wanted." Now, remember, she was 52 at the time. And so he goes, "Well, I can barely do one." He says, "Well, you got to start somewhere." Mm-hmm. So on her 80th birthday, she went to her son and she said, "Thank you so much, babe. I owe you my life." He goes, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Well, when I was 52, you said if you know, in great health, I need to do, you know, those push-ups, those sit-ups, those deep knee bends, and the aerobic." And he says, "Hey, do you know how many people?" He goes, "Mom, do you know how many people?" She said, "Well, I've done that every day since that day you told me." And he said, "Mom, do you know how many thousands of people I've shared that with?" And she goes, "And you actually did it." And so Hazel, like I said, she just turned 90. And I said, Hazel, so tell me what, I said, you still do it? She goes, every single day. She goes, no excuses, every single day. And that's just, I think, we talk about, it really is her identity part. I would say, because yourself, if you're that last, I mean, I think we're all kind of like trying to lose that last 10 pounds, that same last 10 pounds, that last 10 pounds. But I think one, that you've got to do the basics, right? We all know what the things that are foundational for our health with regards to it. But I get it. I'd also say go get your blood work done and make sure you test all of your hormones is a really important thing to do. Because, I mean, my daughter, I thought that, I didn't know what was going on with her. And it turned out she did have something, her hormones were out of, and then she just, by doing the foundations, the same foundational things, all that stuff. I mean, she really made some huge shifts. But health wise and wanting to lose, I don't like to say lose weight. I like to say release the waste, right? And so what are some of the things, because most of us have just a lot of inflammation. So being able to, release that waste. Also, not that I'm like, I mean, I have a lot of like different degrees that I would say, but I'm not going to use those with regards to, but also, you gotta eat less. And one thing that the one thing that has shown to work, right, is eating less. So I think a big one that shows is, just, you've got to put less calories. You got to be able to burn them. You got to be able to burn those calories, and you don't want to be a sugar burner. You want to be a fat burner. So making sure you get those good fats. I don't know if you want me to talk about, that, but really getting those good fats in your body and really getting lots of greens, in your diet with regards to, and tons of water. We say pee your way to health, right? My friend Mary Beth always says that. She says, pee your way to health. So you need to drink a lot of water. You need to make sure you start your day, but do those things consistently. You can't just go to the gym once and expect to be like, have big muscles, by going to the gym once. So consistency, the lesson I learned from Hazel is consistency. Wow. So.
Oh gosh, loads of places we can go from there.
I know.
So let's talk about then how to take care of yourself in lockdown, because certainly amongst my friends, one of the most popular things I heard was, oh my God, I can't resist the biscuits right now, or, I have nothing to do, so I'm eating. What would you say would be some good things for people to engage in now that we are all at home and, maybe it is more difficult to resist those temptations?
Well, I say we all have choices of what we're going to bring into our house. So, when I always say to people, when you have your daughter or your son go ride a bike, make sure that they wear a helmet. And I know that the biscuits and everything are convenient with regards to it, but it's also coping mechanisms, like I think that what we're really talking about is coping mechanisms, and you want to be able to give yourself, have a variety of different coping mechanisms. So you have to be like, you have to look and go, is food really the only thing that I have available to me? Could you, instead of doing that, could an alarm go off for you and you go, okay, I'm going to run and, I'm going to jump on a rebounder, or I'm going to get on the, go just do sit-ups and push-ups and do something like that? Or could I, instead of eating something, could I grab a glass of tea, turn on some great music, and write about everything that I'm grateful for in my life? Or could, me, I'm obsessed with making manifestation boards because it really gets me to think. For me, it's kind of, we talk about, once again, this goes back to Jim Rome, about the seasons. Winter, this is winter, with regards to the seasons. And winter is a really important time for you to reflect, a really important time for you to reflect. It's a time for you to, if you look, Keith Cunningham talks about this too. It's a great time for you to look and see where the cracks in your business are, or cracks in you are. So what are the things, if you're not, same thing, if you're not reflecting, and you're just stuffing and filling yourself up in some way to feel that fullness again, once again, that inflammation, that's really it's everything is everything. So you've got to, for me, like I do manifestation boards because it allows me to reflect on what's really most important for me. How do I really see the world, right? It's funny because I've got a whole wall of them. I've got about 30 on a wall right over there.
Wow.
And I like look and I see how I've evolved in what's important to me, right? So instead of stuffing yourself with food, think about what are some things that you could do to make yourself feel full, if you would. So because what could you do? For me, I mean, I don't know what's going on over there in London. I mean, I'm lucky because I'm in a complex, so I can go outside and I can walk around. I know I don't think that you guys can. Not hard.
30 minutes of exercise around our house, or around our.
Okay, so I'm just curious who's really doing that. You have it available to you, right? Like we have so many resources that are available to us, but how many of us are actually really using that time? So if you've got 30 minutes, be your Hazel and go do that 30 minutes, right? So, and food wise, once again, I know that it's easy to have those biscuits. I mean, guess what? I've got them in the garage as kind of like the emergency with regards to it, but I haven't touched it. I've kept a lock on that. Trying to keep the things that are, and my daughter, she's 12, she'll be 13 in a couple months, and just like made potato leek last night without any dates, made potatoes and leek, onions, and I'm like, that's a better choice. So ask yourself, what's a better choice that I could do right now?
Absolutely.
But anyway, that's what I would say to you. Think about this. I mean, for me, that, like I said, my building that foundation is a great time too for you to really look and build that foundation for how you want to go back, because we want to go back better. Does that make sense? When this is all over, we don't want to just go back. We want to go back and be. And this is that time for you to, like I said, reset, reevaluate, look at what are the things you're going back to, but maybe what are some things that you decided, I don't know if I really do that anymore, if it was that important. So setting that, I know that everybody's into it. That's been, for me, the foundational key is how I start my day. Every day, every day I wake up and I say, today is going to be the best day of my life again. And I assume the day is going to be great. I open my curtain, the red rocks, I'm like, yes. And so I appreciate something in nature. I go over, I do my I am statements, and I'm like, and I'm ready. Like I did, like before this call, I thought about I made a list of everything that I, loved about you. Just from our short time together, I thought about what's really my outcome here and how can I really serve people. And then I get in and I'll prime for myself, and I just go and think about everybody that I'm grateful for. And then I think about, okay, I do my second time priming, and then I'll go and I'll think about, okay, how can I really add value? And and then that's like no time. So instead of grabbing a biscuit, think of some other resources that you can do. It's not like I don't grab those things, like I have the luxury that I have an obsession. I'm like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't know, I don't have like really, but there's one thing that is kind of like my kryptonite, and it says blood orange iced tea, right? And I sip on it all day long, but that's just what I do. So I give myself some grace, with regards to it. I also say about, grab yourself a little bit of grace, but also think about what are some of the better choices I can make.
I love it. And I love the quote that you said at the outset, and it's quoted a lot, it's about just staying true to who you are. Now, I know there's some people out there in that time, in this time, that haven't even really thought about that question within themselves. How do you start that inquiry?
That's a really great, I don't know if you know that's been my thing for the last 20 something years. And how it started was I had an opportunity, a big, huge opportunity, to be featured on a very, very, very successful TV show back at, when daytime TV, everybody would know the show. And I got a call from my friend. She goes, you're about to get a call from a producer who wants to have you on this show. And she goes, and don't you screw this up, Loren. Do not screw this up. I'm like, okay. I was over in Fiji, and I remember sitting at this desk, and I'm not going to use the name of the people, but anyway, this girl calls. She goes, "Hi, my name is Chelsea, and I'm one of the executive producers at blah, blah, blah." And all I'm thinking in the back of my head is my friend saying to me, "Don't screw this up," right? That's all that I'm hearing in my head.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Look," she goes, "Your book," and that was my book. It was actually no at the time. She goes, we have your book. We love your book." She goes, "It's been passed around the office. We've had it for, months and months and months, but we figured that this was this right time to have you on." Oh, and she goes, I'll show you a picture of the book.
Yeah, please.
Since I just got it over from the office, this was my original book, and it's called No Greater Love.
Oh,
So we have your book. Everybody loves it. We want you to do a show. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like sweating. I'm like shaking, right? You don't know what I'm talking about. Back then, not your everyday person was writing a book, right? Like I said, 20 years ago. So I go, "What's the show you want me to do?" And she goes, "We want you to do a show about how to get your husband to do more around the house."
okay.
Oh my God. I took a big deep breath, took a big deep breath. And that's when I started asking myself the question, if I say yes to this, am I staying true to myself? If I say yes to this, am I staying true to myself? And I took a big deep breath in and I go, "Your girl." She goes, "What?" She goes, "We love your book." I go, "I understand. So I go, I'm not your girl. And I don't want to be known." I say this to her, but I thought to myself, I don't want to be known as the girl who got the husband to do more around the house. I don't want to be known. If you're asking me how to be resourceful so that I can spend more time with my husband versus how to get him, I'm not your girl. My friend, she was really upset with me. She goes, "Loren, you had the opportunity that every person would want to have." I go, "I understand that." I go, "I get it. But I also can't live in scarcity thinking that it's never going to come around again, right? That I'm never going to, or that something that what's next, that I have to believe that what's next is better." And I think lots of times sometimes we sell out to things sound so sexy and so awesome and like, oh my gosh, like I'm so cool. This is the thing. Instead of really going, is it something to stay true to yourself about? So that's been, and then though, I'll share this, a couple of years ago, I was like, my husband was like, "Look, it's time for you to like, just go big with everything that you do, Loren." And I'm like, I'm so grateful to my husband because he's my number one fan. And, I went and I hired somebody to help me with my message or whatever. And so I was this guy and he's like, "Well, what's your message?" And I'm like, "About staying true to yourself." He goes, "What does stay true mean anyway? What does it mean? Maybe I don't like myself." And I'm like, "Obviously, you don't." I was sitting there like, "Obviously." And so it really had me think of what does staying true mean? What does that mean? I think it real, and once again, there's no new information. Sorry, guys, I hate to disappoint you all, but there is no new information. You're just going to hear it a different way from a different person. And so I think that I started thinking about like, what does that really mean? And it means about thinking about your values and thinking about, does everything really align with your values? You think about the archetypes, and the archetypes, you talk about the sovereign, the warrior, the lover, the magician, and there's also the other one talking about the prostitute. Lots of times we sell out. We let that prostitute take over because our ego wants to be like, "Oh, I got this," and instead of really looking at what's your values. And I think that's what really stands about. It's like, is this aligning with my values? Once again, my question is, if I say yes to this, am I staying true to what really matters most?
Amazing. Okay. And so, from that, I get you need to inquire within yourself, what is it that really matters most? And then when the opportunities come up, say yes to that which is aligned.
That's why I think that we have this time right now. I think we've been so busy being busy that we haven't stopped. That's right. Sometimes you got to speed up, right? And so many times it's just, we're just going. And instead of like, just like, sometimes it's like, that's why God was pretty dang smart, right? That's why he gave the Sabbath. Go. And then stop, reflect, reevaluate your life. What matters most? What are you going to do on that day of rest? What is, just stop for a second. And this was a hard world reset stop, whatever, how, with regards to things. And I think that everybody's like really look at, oh my gosh. I mean, I think a lot of people had to look at, I think when we went through the recession, whatever, in 2008, as you said, I live here in Las Vegas. I had to short sell our home. I was like, okay, a big reset for me at that moment. Thank goodness I had a little bit reserved so that I could keep going. I went through a divorce with, that time, but I knew that I was like, I'm going to be prepared the next time. Yeah. So I got a little bit more frugal with my money, right? I started like really being consistent about saving more, right? People made fun of me because I like saved more. I wasn't, doing some of those that I used to do, or I wasn't, and I think that was my little wake. I think now, hopefully, that we need to look at, there are things, once again, that are foundational. You look at even I don't know, over there in the UK, but, even the Mormons here in the US, they have a year's worth of supplies, or when we were in Fiji, we had the worst cyclone that came through, and nothing was on the island, because they had to import everything in. And I got crazy about toilet paper there 19 years ago when that whole thing happened. But when I go back to the US, I'm gonna make sure I always have freaking toilet paper, and I always have soaps, and I always make sure that I have 4 of everything. That's kind of like been my thing. Whenever I go shopping, I like have 4 of everything. And and so when the whole toilet paper thing happened, because I had it on auto ship from Amazon, they would deliver the toilet paper, the Clorox wipes, and the paper towels were on auto ship. And it was like, I remember my boys saying, Asher going, don't you we think have enough toilet paper and wipes? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to run into what happened in Fiji. And I'm not saying that I'm not crazy about it, but I'm consistent. Like I would like do the right things so that, and I think this is once again, like time for you to look at what really is important for you. Is it important for you to be, to have at least 3 months worth of savings, to cover your expenses? Is it, are you going to participate? We talk about this all the time. You got to participate in your own rescue, right? I don't know it's over there, but I know, here the government did step in, a bit, but you can't rely on the government just to giving you. You got to think what you're going to do, right? So that's what I would say when you're talking about staying true to yourself. It's that, but what really matters most, and how am I going to participate in that? I know that we're going to. Or the other thing is, also make sure you don't just make it about you. Make sure you've got those things, handle, but also make sure that you do contribution. To me, what happened during the last recession, and unfortunately it's happening now. Well, now I think it's a little bit better just because it's such a world challenge. But Mark Victor Hansen, I remember years ago, he said, I said, what's your advice that you would share with me? I met him once, and he said, Loren, make sure to tithe first, that you always give back first. So before you take a dime for yourself, make sure that you're always giving back first. And during these times, people can, like say, no, I got to protect myself with regards to it. Once again, that's that scarcity mentality. So make sure you're always tithing. Even if you just are on Facebook and you see a GoFundMe and you're like, you know what, I think I'll give $5 there, even though I don't know that. Do something so that you're always giving back. But
Loren, the time with you has just flown by. You're so full of amazing, contribution with your wisdom and everything. I was wondering if you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience today.
You're like, gosh, I don't know, guys. Just like I said, take this time. Don't let this be a time where like I said, how do we get back to the way things were? How can you think right now? How can I be better? You know, how can I show up better? Where are the cracks in my life that I need to fill in those cracks? Or where, you know, maybe you need to just, once again, take the time, see the beauty of all that's on you. And the time, like I said, for reinvention. If you don't like it, guess what? One of the queens of reinvention is Madonna. Is she not? Like, I mean, she's always freaking reinventing, always reinventing herself. Huh? Cool,
Amazing.
right?
Yes.
Amazing. Like she was a material girl, and then she's all about the girl, and then she's a this girl, and then she's a that. You have the opportunity to really think, how do you really want to show up? Not just in the, you know, my whole thing is, how do I want to show up in the world? I love this quote I just put. That's my favorite one. My worth is not defined by other people's perceptions of me. And that would be kind of my closing comments. My worth is not defined by other people's perception of me. And that's what staying true is about. Knowing who you are, knowing what matters most to you, and staying true to that and living it. Don't just talk about it, really go out there and live it. And I want people to be able to look at my house or see me on stage or see me here right now and know that I'm 150,000% congruent, that I'm the same person. I'm not someone different when I walk on stage as I am in my office, which is driving me crazy because I'm OCD. So it's driving me crazy with all this chaos around me. So I want to make sure that I handle that. So handle that. If that extra weight is bothering you right now and you're still carrying that extra weight, it could be weight in your relationship. It could be weight in your physical weight. It could be, you know, some old story that you're still hanging on to. If it's still bothering you, say, okay, thank you very much. I've gotten my lesson from you, but it's time for me to move on and show up in a different way and put together a plan and go do it. But also realize that you don't have to do it alone. And Shay, what I love about you so much is your power of community and your commitment to community. When I came here and was part of that. So I really want to thank you, because that's a lot of work and a lot of commitment. And the fact that you've stayed consistent with it, that even though you couldn't be in person with people, you said, okay, how can I take, you know, Inspired and really just still give people what I promised them that I would give them and take it online. So I really want to acknowledge you for your commitment to do that. And I hope that you guys will send her some love about that, because that just shows the kind of person that she is, that she cares so much that she's not going to stop, you know, because of a challenge a bit in time. But I hope that helps. I hope you guys will keep in touch. And Shay, I adore you. So.
I adore you too. I hope to see you in person again sooner rather than later, as soon as I can get back to the States.
I can get over there. I actually was supposed to, my alarm just went off of my flight to Europe. I was coming over today.
Oh, wow.
And so my alarm literally just went off. You're right. British Airways flight number. So it was interesting that we could do that. Anyway. Yeah. So.
Finally, how can people get in touch with you if they want to? I know you've got lots of amazing books. You've even got some cards out there that people can buy as well. But where can they find all that good stuff?
Well, thanks, sweetie. Well, first of all, I hope that everybody can tune in to my podcast, and it is called Get Real and Stay True. And I've got about 40 editions, I think, that are out, and all different kinds of people. Mostly it's interviews with people. So it's called Get Real and Stay True. And they can just go to Loren, Loren Lahav, LAHAV.com. And if you want anything from the store, because you are Shay's gorgeous friends, you can put in the code HOPE and it will give you a discount. So,
ooh, thank you very, very much. Lots of love to you, Loren. Take care. Stay safe.